Mighty God, we ask that you be present at this meeting to assist us in our service to the community through local government. We pray that our decisions will be wise and taken with goodwill and clear conscience. Amen. Our councillor and officer present at the meeting. So we have all councillors in attendance. We have our Chief Executive Officer, Director of Infrastructure and Environment, and Director of Community and Planning. Apologies for granting leave. Places of conflict of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts to disclose? No. Confirmation of minutes. We have a recommendation that the minutes as circulated be confirmed for the special council meeting held on the 1st of February 2023.
Mr Mayor, those minutes were circulated and subsequently amended and circulated again.
Thank you very much. I would like to move the motion. Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the minutes as circulated and amended be confirmed for the special council meeting held on the 1st of February 2023.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Waldman. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Petitions and joint letters. Nil. Public question time. We do have 2 questions today for public question time. And I'll hand to our CEO.
Councillors, we have 2 questions from Ms. Debbie Anthony. Question 1, can the council please discuss the 7 days that a truck was allowed to park in the Hutt Reserve during the as it was for sale and a permit was granted for this, even when it was parked so dangerously close to the side of the road and was an eyesore? This type of activity be approved by council again in the future? If so, why? And for how long will council approve this type of activity? Question 2, the ability to use the alleyway at the back of my premises at any time of day or night is often difficult due to skips being too close for services vehicles to park between them, and they are halfway on the road due to the rubbish around them, including and not limited to a stove that has been in the alley for months. So the service vehicles, i.e. TFD truck, park in the middle of the road, and you can't go around due to other vehicles away. Rubbish bins and rubbish left for weeks on end. Brings explain how service, emergency and many vehicles are supposed to negotiate the alleyway to gain access to them.
Very much. And a response, we'll take those on notice and get back to this Montenegro before in 5 days. Thank you very much. Informal meeting of councillors. Someone like to move the motion? Councillor Waldman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the information be noted.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dick Shea. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 9's organisational improvement and 9.1's our quarterly budget report. As our Director of Corporate and Organisational Development isn't here, we'll call on our CEO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this report was prepared by Ms Emma Williston, our Director of Corporate and Organisational Development, and Mr Dylan Howard. Preparation of the report, the officers do not have a general material conflict of interest in any matter relates, and nor do I. This is our quarterly budget report, which is presented to you in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act. As at the 31st of December 2022, the Council's financial position was $7.9 million, really due to $5.4 million in grant income being carried forward from the 21-22 budget due to blocking of projects and COVID-19 related delays to capital works projects. One of the requirements under the Local Government Act when we consider the second quarterly report is required. Consultation with my staff, I'm of the view that we do not require a revised budget, and that is no question that's before you. I'm happy to take questions as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or clarification on that report? No? Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to move that number one, the report be noted, and number two, it be noted that the Chief Executive Officer has advised that a revised budget is not required.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Anderson. Councillor Scales, would you like to speak to that report at all?
Very briefly, Mr. Mayor. Look, it's always a great spot to be in, man. Get a budget, a bit more money sitting there. However, we do know that there is grants that do need to be expended. Obviously, it's carried forward since 2019-20 bushfires. A lot of grant money came in, so there's carry forwards from that, as well as a lot of other grants that have come in as well. And just to note, it's generally, it happens every year, where the federal assistance grants seem to be paid about the 30th of June. So right at the end of the financial year and leading into the next year. So that always causes a discrepancy from our original budget. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Councillor Anderson. Any other councillors? All those, anyone against? Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. (9.2) Occupational Health and Safety, and again we'll call on our CEO.
Our bi-monthly update on occupational health and safety activities throughout the organisation. The report was prepared by Ms. Emily Houston, our Director of Corporate Development, and Ms. Wayne Carter, our Occupational Health and Safety Officer. General or material conflict of interest in any matter advice relates. I would just indulge for a moment to highlight a couple of key activities during the period. Conducted a risk assessment and safety plan to ensure that the Corrion sale yards were ready for the annual sale of December, and we've also conducted further risk and assessment and training in relation to the operation of the Corrion aerodrome, which you know we've installed the train refuelling area. So important activities during the period. The report is presented to you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions or clarifications, councillors, on that report? Councillor Warman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to make a comment about the bushfire claim, insurance claim. I'd just like to thank our staff who are progressing that claim. We know it's been knocked back, but at this stage, that they require more information. I just want to thank our staff.
Thank you. Do we have a move motion? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Happy to move that the report be noted.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Walkman. Would you like to speak to that at all? Councillor Scales. Any other councillors? Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Nine point three, corporate and organisational development report. Again, CEO.
Councillors, this is the quarterly update on the activities of the corporate and organisational development area. The report was prepared by Ms. Emma Wilson, our Director of Corporate and Organisational Development, and the officer and myself. Neither the officer nor myself general or material conflict of interest in any matter to which the report or advice relates. A busy period, and I think the highlights are presented there for your consideration. I guess for me, introducing the fortnightly e-newsletter to our communities has been a terrific development. We also produced the halfway point communication to give our communities, residents and ratepayers an idea of the type of work that's been achieved over the last couple of years. And I guess from a staffing perspective, it's delightful that we've been able to be successful in recruiting a new accounting and managed finance and also a governance officer, which will certainly assist us in time to lighten the way the report is presented for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions or clarification on that report? Councillor Walton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to make a comment on part of the report about the volume of rates inquiries continue to be high, largely due to ongoing inquiries regarding changes to land area. Look, I think all councils have been contacted by ratepayers regarding this, and yes, it is. It has created a bit of confusion. There's no doubt about that. But land titles are your truth as far as land area goes. Even though it's gone to digital, refer back to your land title.
Thanks, Councillor Walton. Councillor Dick Shay.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to congratulate the staff for the work they've done with the swimming pool lifeguards. From what I've heard, it's been running extremely well compared to some of the issues we had last year in particular. And I'm also very pleased with the engagement staff, the newsletters, the emails, and the Facebook stuff. I think that is
Thanks, Councillor Dick Shay. Nothing else? Someone like to move the motion? Councillor Walton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the report be noted.
Seconder. Councillor Dick Shay. Councillor Walton, anything? I'd like to speak to that. Anything else? Thank you. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. .4 Council Plan Priorities. And again, we're calling out CEO.
Council's this report provides a quarterly update on the progress of the priorities in our 2021-2025 Council Plan. Quite a good opportunity to reflect on the terrific work that's being done by the team across the organisation. This report was prepared by Emma Wilson, our Director of Corporate and Organisational Development. The officer and myself do not have a general or material conflict of interest in any matter to which the report or advice relates. It's a fairly extensive report that's presented to you in Appendix 5. And there's many highlights, and I won't actually highlight anything in particular. I think the staff today might be highlighting some of the achievements and present their reports. So, questions as appropriate.
Any questions or clarification on council plan priorities? No. Someone like to move the motion? Councillor Walken.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
We have a seconder, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Walken, would you like to address that to the board at all? No. Any other councillors? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just great, it's great to see a lot of the green colouring around there, a few dark green complete, a lot of the green, which means nothing's really at a high risk of not being achieved within the council plan. So yeah, seeing the green's nice. And, the dark green, a little bit of blue, which that's future dated, but definitely not seeing any red there. It's fantastic. Congratulations to staff.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? We're carried. Bushfire relief and recovery. So 10.1 is bushfire relief and recovery update. And I'll call on our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is a 6-month report for the period of July to December 2022, and it's just a reflection of a summary of the many activities that the recovery team continue to support, as well as new activities. Particularly wanted to highlight a couple of things that happened. The first is the great outcome of being able to secure an additional more than $4 million for recovery, which is really, given the floods and everything else that's happened, an incredible outcome. And looking forward to really working with the community to focus those funds around resilience, which is what we're really designed for. The other thing that we're also incredibly proud of was also the support of the inaugural Corrie Spirit event, and looking forward to supporting that again this year. I did also want to just highlight one of the wonderful things about having a recovery team is that where we have parts of our community, which is most communities where they're very exposed to the negative impacts of climate change, having a recovery team with excess capacity to quickly respond and divert those activities to things like floods is incredible. And I guess just we're really lucky that we've been able to do that bigger response than potentially some of our other partner LGAs who had to wait for funding announcements. The recommendation is as moved.
Thank you very much. Any questions or clarification on the report? No? Someone like to move motion, please? Councillor Anderson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thanks, Councillor Anderson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dickshade. Councillor Anderson, would you like to speak to that at all?
No.
Any other councillors? Motion. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. .2 Bushfire Resilience and Recovery Fund. Proposed allocation. Again, we'll call on our Director of Community Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is seeking approval for the allocation of bushfire funds in relation to the Resilience and Recovery Fund, which is the $3.672 million that was recently announced to come to the government area. As you will see from the report, this particular fund is really designed at helping communities build resilience, and that when I say communities, that includes the economy, so organisations that work in the economy, as well as really strengthening the recovering workforce to be able to have the capacity to respond to future events. As you'll see from the proposed allocation, we tentatively slated some costs against various categories and also some potential high-level projects. The way that the fund works is we have the ability to change that by agreement with Emergency Recovery Victoria, the funder. So at this stage it is a proposed allocation, and based on additional quotes and other projects as time goes on, we have the ability to adjust that. I did also want to note there are some exclusions that I've provided in the and that's really important in terms of considering as presented.
Any questions or clarification on that report, councillors? Someone like to move a motion? Councillor Waltman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that we defer this item to a workshop.
Councillor Waltman, do we have a seconder for that? Well, I think that was Councillor Anderson. Councillor Waltman, would you like to speak to that?
No.
Any other councillors? Put that motion. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Community Services Report is presented biannually and will be provided in May 23. Asset management, the asset management plan available for this meeting.
Present it to the special meeting.
Yes.
Acceptable, please.
We'll come to the special meeting on the 8th. So we go to 12.2, discontinuance and sale of section of road. And I'll call on our Director of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek approval for the discontinuance and sale of 612 square metres of section of the Corrion Stock Route to facilitate a road deviation and land exchange as part of the Stock Route upgrade project, and to seek approval to sell the discontinued section of road to the adjacent landowners of 201 Thomas Lane, Corrion. Is as presented.
Thank you. Any questions or clarification on that report, councillors? Someone like to move a motion? Councillor Waltman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as presented be adopted.
Thanks, Councillor Waltman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dick Shea. Councillor Waltman, would you like to speak to that at all? Any other councillors? We'll put the motion. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Minute streetscape upgrade, stage 1 tender evaluation, and again I'll call on structural environment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide information to support the assessment of tender submissions for stage 1 of the streetscape upgrades at Midamida, including the Omeo Highway and LaFontaine Street intersection. This is the second time this has gone out to tender due to a contractor not being available in the first round. And I think that we have found a great contractor that can deliver this service for us. And the recommendation is as presented.
Thank you very much. Any questions or clarification on this report, councillors? Councillor Anderson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just know that there's a large variation between the first evaluation and the second one. We're happy with what we're going with.
Through you, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
Yes, we're really happy with the contractor that we've appointed. We think they're going to do a great job, and they've done previous work for us on the Town Hall Street East project, and we've had a really good outcome.
Any further questions or clarification? Yes, Councillor Walton.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, just a comment. It was good to see there was 4 tenders. Contractors are at the moment, so it was really good to get the 4 tenders and on very comfortable with the decision that we made today.
Thank you. Would someone like to move the motion? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as presented.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. And seconder, Councillor Walkman. Councillor Scales, would you like to speak to that?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just very briefly, great to be awarding this contract once again. The Streetscape Works has been in the pipeline for a while, I suppose, has been deferred a few times, and of course we did award the contract late last year. Unfortunately, that couldn't continue, but we've got a good contractor, so it would be great to see this get moving.
Thank you, Councillor Scales. Councillor Walton. Any other councillors? Motion. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. So, councillors, this report we haven't been able to have finalised, so we'll move it to the 8th of March. Councillors happy with that, to the special meeting? Thank you. 12.5, flood damage repairs, and again I'll call on our Director of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek approval to award contracts for flood damage repairs across our road network. It's been divided into two contracts, or an eastern end and a western end. The recommendation is as presented.
Any questions or clarification on that report, councillors? Councillor Scales?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just note the very low amount. I think it surprised me for the. So it's not a low amount. It's for the western section where it's 464,112. I'm assuming that's not all of the flood damage works that will need to be rectified. I'm just saying that because I look at, say, New North Road alone, and I believe there's two sections of New North Road, and I think that would be significantly more than $500,000. Happy to take from those.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. New North Road is a project in itself and it's not included in this contract. Construction repair, it's something that we can't do until the river is running lower.
Any further questions or clarification? Someone like to move the motion? Councillor Walkman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as presented to be adopted.
Thanks, Councillor Walkman, as seconder. Councillor Dickshay. Councillor Walkman, would you like to? Councillors, we'll put the motion. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.1 land use planning. The next land use planning report will be presented in March. 14 is environmental sustainability. The environmental sustainability report is presented quarterly and will be presented in March. So 15, economic and tourism development. 15.1 is mobile and internet communication strategy, and we'll call on our Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is providing an update on the recently, the mobile and internet communication strategy that recently went on public exhibition for the first time. As you recall, we commissioned Rebel Roads to do a technical review of the coverage, reliability and networks, particularly in relation to both mobile but also data, so ADSL and various other things, and satellite. This was the first time we actually put that out to the public, and the intention of this piece of work is really firstly to help inform our advocacy, particularly in relation to funding rounds for black spots and other connectivity, but also to ensure that we had a really up-to-date, good capture of actually what the connectivity problems I'm pleased to say, which maybe not everyone is, when you put out these things, we've got a lot of responses. And as part of that, I think we've identified a range of priority areas and we think need additional studies to ascertain exactly what the connectivity and reliability issues are. As per the report, those include Talgano, Towel, Folio, Upper Galga and Narrow Valley. And there was a little bit of feedback around future-proofing some of our additional, our existing networks as well, where people were just concerned that hadn't adequately been captured. So in addition to that, there was also a bit of feedback about projects that we know already have things planned. So we haven't necessarily addressed those as part of that. So in particular, we know that there's a tower plan for Kuitong and a range of other improvements, particularly in relation to the NBN fibre in various areas that are coming. So for those ones, we'll be reaching back out to those people to explain when those improvements are likely to happen. We also wanted to flag some of the feedback certainly would suggest that there is an opportunity to run a digital education program, because we felt that some of the feedback indicated that people didn't quite understand always the differences, or they were reading the technical document and really struggled with what it meant. So we've already started that work, and there's a range of projects, both NBN and Telstra and other projects around really improving digital literacy. So at this point in time, the recommendation is as noted, and the intention is to further work on that final stream.
Thank you. Any questions or clarification, councillors? Councillor Diccio?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's great that we did get the feedback. I'm a little surprised that the contractor didn't quite identify some of that stuff, because most of that would have been, I would have thought, identified, most of those areas are pretty well known issues for us. Are you surprised?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think in some cases I wouldn't say they weren't identified. I'd say that when people were reading it, they felt that what's being represented as coverage or connectivity is not their experience in real life.
Yeah.
So I guess it's always challenging when you're doing one of these sorts of things, because you use technology to actually ascertain what is the coverage and weather conditions and other things can affect that greatly. So I guess that was what we're hoping we'd get out of putting it on public exhibition, which is where can we sort of ground truth what the actual tech picked up and ascertain whether we might have bigger problems that actually on a map would suggest that it's not nearly as big a network coverage. So I think it's exactly what we were hoping to get out of it. Yeah.
And the follow-up question is there. Is the changes to the report covered, fund costings covered in the original payment budget to Gravel Road, or is this an additional cost now?
So some of it will be. There was always some additional work post, because there might be. I think now that we just feedback back to Gravel Road, there may be an additional cost at this point in time, but we're not sure if that looks like it should be relatively small.
Any further questions? Councillor Warman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I'd just like to thank the Director on this report. We all know how vital connectivity is within our shire. Just wanted to highlight two black spots, and I think it may be covered in the Talgano mobile connectivity. Talgano to Waima Ferry, I drive a school bus there every weekday, and there's a 15k black spot there on the Murray River Road. And the one that probably hasn't been captured is Thololagon and the Dora Dora area. There's a 20 black spot there. Admittedly, the Barrowy Tower will alleviate a little bit at the eastern end, but there still will be a major black spot there. I just wanted to highlight. Thank you.
Further questions or clarification? Someone like to move the motion? Councillor Anderson?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation presented.
Thanks, Councillor Anderson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Diccio? Councillor Anderson, would you like to speak as well?
his report is absolutely fantastic. We'll be able to use it to make the powers that be understand how many black spots we really do have. And it's such a high priority for our community, so I think we'll be able to get a lot to the staff. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Anderson. Any other councillors?
I would just like to also make brief reference to the work that CV Connect are doing in some of the valleys, and I think that work is really important.
Thank you. Further, we'll put the anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. (15.2) Economic Development Tourism Report presented biannually. We've set it in April 2023. Council reports. There were no council reports being received. No urgent business. There are no committee minutes for consideration for 18, 19. 19.1 OHS committee. There are no occupational health and safety committee minutes for consideration. 20 and 20.1's policies review and adoption. There are no policies for review or adoption this month. 21 sealing documents. No sealing documents this month. There will be no documents to seal this month. And 2022 is confidential, and I don't believe you have anything confidential. So thank you very much. Or hang on, I would just like to mention one more thing just before I close the meeting. We're unfortunately losing one of our directors is finishing up and moving over to Perth, and I'd like to thank Emma Woolston for the last couple of years. We'll be really pushing 3, are we? 2 and a bit. And especially in the work she's done with getting the new Local Government Act implemented for us. I think she's done an enormous amount of work, gone above and beyond, and just like to say thank you very much to Emma for all the time and Town Council. And that's it. Thank you very much. Meeting closed.